I'm a sucker for a good cover. The more over the top, the better. And one of the better over the top cover artists is Ken Kelly. So when I saw this Kid Dynamite record, I thought this is either going to be really, really good or really, really bad. I was not wrong. But Kid Dynamite didn't just climb over a mountain of the naked and conquer to not rock or boogie, as the case may be, because I wouldn't call this a rock record. But I digress. I'll tell you what I do know. Dick Thompson and John King were both in the Steve Miller Band. Dickie Thompson played keyboards on the Joker record, and John King played drums. But they didn't really talk about it. When Thompson died in 2018, if it's the correct obit, because it was a little vague, there was no mention of Steve Miller or Kid Dynamite. Just that his abilities allowed him to collaborate with many great artists and travel the world. That's it. If you pull up a list of present and former Steve Miller Band members, Dickie's name isn't on it. But when Steve Miller put out the 2023 Joker reissue with all the things on it that make it a reissue, he does mention Thompson and King, but not really, just that they were there. His Evolution of the Joker essay spends more time talking about how great Gerald Johnson was on bass and how well they gelled. You get the feeling that somebody didn't like somebody, but you didn't know whose fault it was. Of the two, I think John King was the only one who had an active musical career after Kid Dynamite. He played drums with Santana and the Beach Boys and former Steve Miller Band member Boss Skaggs. He also had a company called India Street Percussion, but that must have dissolved sometime after his death in 2010. His time with Steve Miller is noted in a lot of music histories and in his obit, but not Kid Dynamite, which brings me to this weird part of the record. On the back, underneath the photo giving Bohemian Rhapsody vibes, are 4 quotes from the Kid Dynamite members about how Kid Dynamite came to be. King says, "We learned a lot from Steve, but had our own road to travel and haven't sacrificed any ideals in putting Kid Dynamite together." Thompson says, "We didn't leave the Steve Miller Band on a whim, but had definite plans for the direction of Kid Dynamite." But if you believe Cream's April 1977 record review, these guys were fired. But that's also about the only thing you can garner from that paragraph, because I'm not even sure if Cream liked it. Look, I went to some good schools. I am still continuously perplexed by Cream record reviews. We can guess because, this record is not easy to listen to. First, I must express how contradictory the expectations being set here are. It certainly isn't the kind of record that you would expect to hear with this kind of art. More boogie than heavy, more funk than southern rock, more blues than radio-friendly future yacht rock. When listening to it objectively, Kid Dynamite has its pluses, but there are ample minuses. Dick Thompson and John King are talented musicians. The last minute or so of Music Man showcases how well those two played together. And guitarist Michael Mallon transitions perfectly between funky songs like Uphill State of Mind to a more Zappa-ish Everything's Gonna Be All Right. There is professionalism in the musical execution of this record, period. If we stopped right there, this would be a solid 75. The weak link of this foursome is singer Val Garcia, and part of me feels really bad because he's enthusiastic about every bit of this. But enthusiastic like Bill Murray fronting Murph and the Magic Tones at the bar/bowling alley on a Saturday night in 1976 Calumet City. He hypes and yowls with the confidence of a man who loves what he's doing, even if he's not good at it. The record begins with a cover of Shaka. This is also where Kid Dynamite peaks lyrically. We're gonna dig potatoes. We're gonna pick tomatoes. That's it. It is all downhill from here. The words to Mysterious Ways makes me want to slap someone. This is literally a song about a guy who's an asshole to the woman who loves him. and he knows he's a jagoff, and he lists reasons why he's a jagoff because he's not going to change because women are mysterious with their love. To their credit, Kid Dynamite did write that song. They did write the singy, talky, dry hump of a song, Music Man, not guitarist Michael Mallon, but the other three did. All of the band members were responsible for one or two songs on this record, but there were a half a dozen other names attached to really bad choices. The band disappeared quickly. There was another record in '76 on a different Nothing label with a couple of these songs on it and some forgettable cover art. Probably stuff that didn't make it onto this record, but still no one cared, so Kid Dynamite was done. Michael Mallon had some animation soundtrack credits in the early 2000s, and one blog believed that he was teaching guitar in California, but then I didn't see anything after 2008. John King appears to have had a successful career and a full life. I'm not sure if Dickie Thompson had the same. Val Garcia died in 2022 and was probably the last member of Kid Dynamite. Unlike his bandmates, Garcia's obit full on embraces the band and takes credit for recruiting two of his college musician friends to form Kid Dynamite. It goes on like a PR sheet in a record promo, how they toured Texas and enjoyed two records coming out in the same year. But just as that was all happening, Val felt the pull of service and joined the Celebrity Center International, where he worked to help other artists find spiritual freedom and success. Sometimes history is written by the last one standing. You should be able to find this record in the cheaps. Discogs definitely has it. I couldn't find the full album on YouTube, but I did put up the songs that I could find along with some other weirdness. If you'd like to hear about records you may or may not have owned back in the day, feel free to subscribe to Bands of the Lost YouTube channel or check us out at bandsofthelost.com. Happy digging.